Hi guys, in chapter 3 we're going to be talking about rational numbers. So we're going to start in section 1 by talking about fractions and decimals and how to convert a fraction into a decimal. So first off, a little vocab. We're going to start with terminating decimals, which would be a decimal that ends. Pretty simple, it's any decimal that ends. And now we're going to talk about a couple different methods in order to change a fraction into a decimal. So our first number, we want to write 7/8 as a decimal. The first method you could always use is paper and pencil, meaning we're going to do some long division. So I'll show you the way that I do long division. I know you guys might do it a little differently, and I wrote them in the wrong spot. So remember that a fraction means that we are dividing. So we're taking 7 divided by 8. Well, we know 8 is not going to 7, so we're going to add a 0. 8 goes into 70 8 times. Bring our decimal up. So 64. We use this with a 6. Bring down another 0. So that goes in 7 times. So then 56. Remainder of 4. Bring down another 0. And 5. So by doing it paper and pencil way, we see that 7/8 as a decimal would be 0.875 or 875 thousandths. Now, that one wasn't too bad, but we're going to get into some decimals that will take a while, so we also want to be able to use the calculator. So if we go to our calculator, 7 divided by 8, we'll see it gives us the same 0.875. On your calculator, you are going to use division. Now, obviously, the calculator is what we're going to be using most of the time. You guys will have them available at this point. So, a little bit of practice. Write each fraction as a decimal. Again, 4/5. Well, if you know that 1/5 is 2/10, then 4/5 would be 8/10. So 0.8. You could have used a calculator for that. So in 1b, 3/16. Let's go ahead and use the calculator. We do 3 divided by 16 gives us 0.1875. Okay, so there's a little bit of practice changing a fraction into a decimal when they are terminating decimals. So if we go on to our next, a repeating decimal would be a decimal that repeats, obviously, without ending. So it's going to continue forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and never ever end. For that, we use bar notation because obviously we cannot keep writing the same number over and over and over again. So bar notation is a bar or line placed over the digits that repeat. So again, write each fraction as decimal. Use a bar notation to show repeating decimals. So we're going to use our calculator. We have 5/12 first. So flip over here. 5 divided by 12. We see we have 0.41, a whole bunch of 6's and a 7. Now, this is a repeating decimal, but the calculator cannot keep repeating, obviously. That's why that 7 is at the end, because it rounded. So we have 0.41. The 41 does not repeat, but the 6's do. So 0.416 repeating. Now, make sure that your bar notation is only over the 6. The 4 and the 1 are not repeating, so only over the 6. Then we have -2 11ths. So negative signs are down here, by the way, down next to our decimal. So -2 divided by 11. This time we have 2 repeating digits. So our 1 and our 8 repeat over and over and over and over and over again. So we have -0.18 repeating. Again, make sure that bar is over the 1 and the 8 this time. All right, according to the USDA, teenage boys should consume on average 2,700 calories per day. About 360 calories should come from milk. To the nearest hundredths, what part of a teenage boy's total calories should come from milk? Okay, so 360 out of 2,700. So hop to our calculator. 360 divided by 2,700. And we get 0.13 repeating. So 0.13 repeating. However, we wanted the nearest hundredth. Nearest hundredth is 2 decimal places, so we actually do not want the bar notation this time. Now we know 3 would be the next digit. 3 does not round up, so 0.13. All right, moving right along. Comparing fractions and decimals. So it may be easier to compare numbers when they are written as decimals. It's very hard to compare a fraction and a decimal, and sometimes the fractions are hard to compare as well. So 1/4, we're going to convert this to a decimal. 1 divided by 4 would be 0.25 compared to 0.2. Well, I see I have a 5 here. This would be a 0 if I continued them. So 25 hundredths are more than 20 hundredths. So we have greater than. Okay, same thing over here. Negative 5/8. Convert it to a decimal, so negative 0.625. Again, you could use your calculator for this. Compared to negative 6/9. If we convert that to a decimal, we have negative 0.66. Repeating, I'll go ahead and put all the digits there. So if I take away my negatives, 6.2 versus 6.6, 6.2 is less than. However, since they are negatives, I want to think opposite, so we are greater than again. All right, looking at this word problem here, 30 out of 36 7th graders and 34 out of 40 8th graders participated in a marathon for charity. Which class had a greater fraction participating in the marathon? Okay, so we have 30 out of 36 compared to 34 out of 40. Again, we want to convert these into decimals. So 30 divided by 36 is 0.83 repeating, so 0.83 repeating. 34 out of 40, if we divide those, we would get 0.85. 83 is less than 85, even though this is repeating. The 3 compared to the 5 is less than. So which class had a greater fraction? The 34 out of 40 was greater, so the 8th grade. Our answer would be 8th grade. Make sure on word problems you actually answer the question. Okay, so there's lesson 1. You'll see there's a couple more problems in your notes. There are 3 in total. Don't forget about the last one. So we have a survey shows that 9 out of 25 of the families in a small town do not have residential phone service. Write 9/25 as a decimal, so you're converting that. And then write negative 7/9 as decimal. Again, converting. You may use a calculator. Make sure you're noting if it's terminating or repeating. And then replace. So I want to sign in here less than, greater than, or equal to make the following statement true. So how does 2/9 compare to 0.2? So convert them to decimals and then write in your less than, greater than, or equal to. All right, guys, that is the end of lesson 1.